see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. You know, every time we're on the show, you do most of the talking. I don't know why that is. I never get a chance to talk to Ike. I don't really...
If you went back and asked Lawrence Fishburne, did you think that you would become a meme for portraying Ike Turner in the biopic of What's Love Got to Do With It about Tina Turner, he would have laughed at you. But now he has become that. And quite simply put, Ike Turner has become a villain in the black community. That said, there are questions as to how accurate was that movie that many people saw as a autobiography of Tina Turner.
When you go to Europe, you do a lot of traveling in Europe and so forth. Do you get the same reaction to the music over there you get here, basically? Better reaction? I've heard musicians say that before.
The infamous Eat the Cake anime scene in the film was an exaggerated reenactment of an incident that occurred during the earlier years of their review. Although Tina claimed she did not order it, Ike ordered her to eat the entire cake while he watched. The scene serves as a metaphorical representation of the control and dominance Ike exerted over Tina during their tumultuous relationship.
And they don't get a chance to see that much American stuff, or what?
I think that's part of it, and we're real. You know, it's
right.
like we go out on stage and we sort of look our best when we enter, because we know how we're going to look when we leave. You know, we do a little.
The scene where Tina was R-ed during the recording of Nutbush City Limits in the film is an exaggeration of what she stated in her book. Tina claimed that sometimes after Ike would physically A her, he would then have relations with her. However, Ike maintained that he never R'd Tina.
Have you ever lost anybody on the show?
Well,
Not showing up at the same time you're supposed to be there.
The drummer, you see, Ike is at the studio all the time.
Right.
And 4 days in a row without coming home. And he keeps usually the bass man and the drummer with him.
The incident in the Ritz Theater where Ike fails to scare Tina with his weapon is a fabrication. While Ike allegedly made threats to hire a hitman, Tina did carry a weapon for self-defense. However, there was no personal confrontation involving a weapon as depicted in the film.
Darling, yes, you start to get next to me.
Wow, honey, that was the plan from the very beginning.
And the very last day, when it's time to leave, they go home that morning about 5 and they have to leave at 12. Then you can't wake them up. So then we're worried if the drummer's going to get there or the bass player. But usually everybody makes it except those two.
Ike, I've been to see the preacher man.
A preacher man, you must be losing your mind.
I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert in body language, but if you watch this interview and even the interaction that Ike and Tina have while they're singing, if there's some craziness going on at home at this time, they're really good at masking it. But that said, there's an interesting dynamic playing out in this interview. But if you really think about masculinity traditionally, it kind of presents itself in a couple of different ways. There's that really brash,
Go on, so I can get some of this smoke. So I can get some of this smoke. Talking all week. Now you can talk to me. Talking all week. Now you can see me. Now you can see me. Now you can see me.
There's a second presentation of masculinity that is borderline playful, and that playfulness comes out of the fact that I have proven my masculinity, and at this time, I'm just going to show you that I can be jovial or soft, because you know how masculine I can actually be.
Put your reach out. Let me see what you got in there.
I got to see
Show
it.
them what you
Don't
got.
reach there. This right
That
there.
don't
No,
mean nothing.
Very easy. Until you get that pen, though. See, you know.
Seriously.
That pen.
Well, this
That
is...
Ali shuffle. That Ali shuffle will make you...
Show me
That's
Ali
good.
Shuffle right now.
That's good for a shoe shine.
I'll put
That's
that
good
Ali
for a
shuffle.
shoe shine. That's nice if that's what you're watching. That's nice if that's what you're watching.
I must
And
break
cut
it.
that beard off because I'm not fighting billy goats.
I want to give you a target. I want to give you a target.
The reach don't mean nothing if you can't find nothing.
I
here.
should like
That don't
Angie
mean
to
nothing.
measure it,
Natural's
Muhammad.
reach is longer. Football
pen.
boxers,
I
I'll
got the
whoop
pen.
basketball players,
Got the pen.
football players, and co-sales.
Right.
Wants to agitate you into a fight, I'll get you.
7 feet.
That's right, it's 91, 92 inches.
All right, now measure the champ, will you?
Reach don't mean nothing. Terrell had a reach too. Terrell had a bad jab when the fight started, you couldn't find it.
Wait a minute, Angie.
This has been living to me, a world champion and a basketball player. This
And
don't
so the
mean
edge
nothing.
is about a foot.
Reach don't
About
mean
a
nothing.
foot. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
I have something unseen power that'll whip you.
You will admit that his
Oh,
hands
see.
are bigger even than Sonny Liston's were.
That don't mean nothing. This man don't have a chance against me.
Go ahead.
Say it again.
Man, you know it better not do. Bill Russell and a few more players are going to be my sparring partners to get ready for you. I want the doctors to check you. I don't want your age checked. I want your stomach checked. I want your arm checked. I don't want no back trouble or no eye trouble.
Who's going to check you, though? I want to know.
I don't need checking.
You don't need checking.
You just be ready.
Of the world at 7 feet 1 inch, Wilt the Still Chamberlain, and what you have just seen was the decisive edge and reach that Wilt would have if...
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. I had a school principal, guy by the name Antonio Harvey. He was principal of an elementary school, and he came to me, and he's big on fatherhood. He has 2 small children. They may be a little older now. He came to me and he said, Representative, for the life of me, I don't understand how I can be with other parents' children, 400 to 500 of them, 5 days per week in this school. And I oversee them as a parent almost, but I'm their principal. And I can only see my children every other weekend and 2 weeks during the summer.
And this situation here is an illustration of what can happen to either the jovial or the kind of boisterous masculinity when it's not allowed to be practiced. In fact, it's a situation where it's villainized, and even to the point where a man is separated from his kids, even as a school principal. So then that masculinity simply has no place to go.
Every other weekend and 2 weeks during the summer. That's what the court said told him when it came to custody of his children. Obviously, he hasn't done anything nefarious to the point that, because if he had, he wouldn't be a principal over 400 or 500 children. So we have in different places, in different courts across the state, different decisions being made. This bill will give us some form of uniformity.
Divorce rates are dropping in Kentucky. I went there to figure out why. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to make 50-50 shared custody the default. That means that children split their time equally between both parents, and fathers pay less in child support the more time that they spend with their children. Before that, judges decided custody based on what they called the best interest of the child. Fathers said that usually relegated them to an every other weekend arrangement, the so-called Disneyland dad effect, while mothers got to spend most of the time with their children.
For whatever reason, the Wall Street Journal has taken the last couple of days or so to highlight issues with the family, writing one article about the end of gentle parenting and how basically it's the F around and find out era, or basically let dad discipline the kids again era. And then you have an article about how 50-50 custody in Kentucky has changed the game. Of course, there was a ton of talk about how many of those young ladies are in danger and it's better for the children to be with the parents. But if you ask teachers who are quitting in droves, something's got to be done. And since you can't pour a bunch of money into mothers, as has been happening for the last 50 years, they got to do something else. And that comes with letting the dads see their kids.
Since the law passed, divorce rates have dropped. Between 2016 and 2023, divorces in the state fell 25%, compared to 18% nationwide. It's hailed as a victory for fathers' rights, but the story is more complicated. Some critics of the law say that people are staying in abusive marriages because they're afraid of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. One mom told me that her husband nearly killed her in 2023. She filed criminal charges and he was arrested. But less than 2 weeks after he got out of jail, a judge awarded him 50% custody of their son, indicating that the abuse wasn't a factor since he didn't lay hands on the child. The law has become a model for other states. Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri have passed their own versions of the equal custody presumption.
The young lady brought up a story about how one particular wife felt that she was in danger, and that is part of the give and take of writing laws. But you have to remember that there's another side of this. There's a reason why more and more courts are starting to say, hey, listen, we cannot do this Disneyland dad thing. We got to let these dads raise these kids. Because there's a version of that on the guy end. And that's just called guys just not doing anything. And it's powerful.
Cassius Clay, Army? Cassius Clay, Army? Will you please step forward and be inducted into the Armed Forces of the United States?
You'll have another chance in a few minutes to reconsider and be inducted. You'll go back in that room, they'll call your name, and they'll tell you once again to take that step.
I'm against the war in Vietnam. I don't think black people, I don't think they should go to Vietnam and fight Asian yellow people who've never left Israel's cause. Deprives us of freedom, justice, equality for the same white man who's not freeing us right here in America. Really, my conscience won't allow me to go. Although I won't have to go, you offer me deals where probably I don't have to fight, or I could have it easier, or do like Joe Louis did. But still, I know that you're using me to lead other people to the service, which is to lead them to slaughter, and my conscience will still bother me. Sir, I'd just rather go to jail.
Y'all, we just got into it at the restaurant because I asked him, tell me something about your last name that makes your last name worth passing on. Like, I want to hear about the lineage. I'm walking around myself in the parking lot.
How do you manage to relax? You work at such a high energy level, both of you, when you do shows. How do you get down from it? Does it take you a while to just
Well, Ike
cool
gets
off after a show?
parties.
I know how Ike does it. Ike doesn't talk. He saves his energy. It's easy for him.
What we're starting to see now is what happens in a society where men are openly emasculated. When you hear this young lady simply say to a guy that if you're not bringing what I deem is fit to the table, there's no reason why I should change my last name or bless you with a child. And so you need to prove to me here on this date that most likely he drove her to and most likely he was paying for, why you are acceptable, worthy of me. And when you have more and more men simply saying, this is a game that my grandfather never had to think about playing. My great-grandfather couldn't conceive of this game. And I don't want to play this game because at the end of all of this, I'm still being tasked with paying for everything, being masculine and all of that, except that I'm being challenged. I'm not even allowed to be my own masculine self. I'm kind of being neutered. And so what do? You shut down.
After the show, Ike usually, he usually has a party afterwards. Now, I don't know how relaxing.
Movies like The Color Purple, Waiting to Exhale, and What's Love Got to Do with It have demonized black men for a very long time. And there have been very few black men more demonized than Ike Turner. But in this interview, if you watch it in its entirety, he was barely able to speak one or two straight sentences without being either laughed at or interrupted. Now, of course, it's very easy for us to look at movies and hear these stories and say that he's just a terrible human being. But you can see in his body language, or at least during the context of the interview, that they felt very comfortable holding hands, for one, and they sang very well together as well. But when he was not allowed to freely express himself, he was essentially told, sit, boy, sit. What many young boys and boys that grow up into men have been told, and when they grow up to be men and they are essentially somewhat emasculated, there's only really one way to go. It's to shut down. It's to say, you know what? This is a game that I can't win. It's a game I don't enjoy playing. So the best thing I can do is to just back out and not play it. And as much as we've vilified men in the last several decades, what's clear now is that that masculine energy that men bring to the table is very much needed in homes, in schools, in communities, in churches, everywhere. And that energy that you're starting to see a lot of young ladies miss is sitting idle, is sitting latent. And men are simply saying, either I have to wait until it's safe to show my masculinity, or I have to go somewhere else where it's okay to. Because the sit, boy, sit is not what men do. And when men choose to sit, they'll rather go to jail and say, you know what? I don't care about any of it. Ask Muhammad Ali. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. Catch you next video. Take care.